Welcome to the Honeycomb Training Academy. Brought to you by PRP Solutions. This video will guide you through the process of adding manual clocks from the daily timesheet. Note that some of these functions may be limited by specific user access. We recommend that you first watch the Daily Timesheet View explained video. There are several ways to access an employee's timesheet. For this video, we will access it through one of the Schedule Adherence Payroll Period views. Select the Schedule Adherence tile from the home screen. Select the required criteria, and then select Next. There are several reasons why a user may need to add clocks to a timesheet. One common reason is to resolve an exception caused by a missing clock. Another reason is to add both in and out clocks for an employee to resolve a no-show. When capturing clocks, confirm the correct clock times and the reason why they did not clock. First, we will show you how to capture a missing clock to resolve an exception. Select the exception in the Employee's Status row to open the Targeted Exception Management panel. You can easily recognize a missing clock exception when there is only a clock count of 1. Click on the exception to go into the employee's daily timesheet. The timesheet indicates which transaction is missing. Select the plus clock button at the bottom of the screen. In this example, we will be adding a missing in clock. A pop-up displays the scheduled shift for the day. The same method is used to capture a missing out clock. It also shows the predicted clock time required to resolve the exception. If you want to capture a different time, select the plus manually button. You can click on the shift start or end buttons to choose which clock you want to add. The time shown will be either the scheduled in or out time for that shift. In most cases, however, the system predicts which clock is required to clear the exception. Using these two buttons is important when capturing clocks for an overnight shift. We will discuss adding clocks for an overnight shift in another video. Add the clock time. If you capture a clock time that results in a negative value, displayed in red in this example, depending on the configuration of the shift, the employee's total hours for the day may be reduced by the amount of short time. By default, the system displays time in a decimal format. This simplifies payroll and time calculations. For example, 15 minutes is shown as 0.25 hours, so 8 hours and 15 minutes becomes 8.25 hours. If you prefer to view time in hours and minutes, you can change this in Preferences. We will not save the clock just yet. First, we will change the preference. We will then return to see how the decimal value is displayed in hours and minutes. Select the Preferences button on the top right of your screen. Untick the Show Shift Values as Decimal tick box and then save. Other settings in Preferences will be described in another training video. We will now go back to add the same clock time again. You will notice that the value previously displayed as -0.25 is now shown as -0.15. Representing 0 hours and 15 minutes, instead of the decimal value of 0.25 hours. A decimal hour shows what fraction of an hour has been worked. Since 1 hour has 60 minutes, simply divide the minutes by 60, and add the result to the hours. An easy way to tell which format is being used is to look at the separator. A decimal point indicates decimalized time, while a colon indicates hours and minutes. If the times are correct, select a reason for change from the drop-down menu. Add any additional information if required, and then select Save. The system will calculate the day's hours using the original clock and the new clock you added. While the calculation is being processed, the timesheet will display circular pending arrows. During this time, you can navigate to another day or another employee's timesheet. Once the process engine has completed the calculation, refresh the timesheet or reopen it. The pending icon will disappear, and the clocks used to calculate the day's hours will be displayed. The manual correction icon will be visible at the top of the timesheet. The location of the clock will be displayed as Honeycomb manual entry. The info column displays the reason for change. You can then open the values page to verify that the calculation is correct. These values will also be displayed in hours and minutes if you changed your preference. Another reason to add manual clocks is in the case of a no-show, where it is necessary to capture both in and out clocks. For this example, we will set our preference back to decimal hours. From any screen within Schedule Adherence, click on a no-show to go into the timesheet. Select the plus clock button. By default, the pop-up displays both the in and out clock times, based on the shift start and end times. If the times are correct, select a reason for change from the drop-down menu. Add any additional information if required, and then select Save. If you want to change either of the default clock times shown, select plus manually. You will need to capture the in and the out clock times separately. Select either the shift start or end time buttons to indicate which clock you want to capture. Capture the clock time. Unlike the previous example, this clock entry will result in a positive value. The additional time will be added to the employee's total hours for the day if overtime is enabled. Enabling overtime will be discussed in another video. Supply a reason for change, additional information, if required, and then save. Repeat the same steps shown for the second clock, using either the default time presented or entering a different time if required. Once again, allow the process engine to calculate the day's hours. Users can also capture time entries for missing clock exceptions and no-shows. That function will be explained in another training video. Thank you for watching this Honeycomb Academy training video, brought to you by PRP Solutions.